Welcome to my AFL tips and ratings for round 10. Let's have a quick look at how we did last week. We pretty much got 5 correct. Brisbane was a draw, and we got 3 of the selections wrong, being Sydney, Western Bulldogs, and Geelong. Now, interestingly, something I have noticed is a lot of the close games are actually going to the home teams this year. Um, and these games were both predicted to be under a goal. Both went to Essendon and the Gold Coast. We were a bit lucky here getting Collingwood and Carlton, but they were outside of the goal. If we go back another week and we have a look under 1 goal here, it went to the home team. 1 goal or less here went to the away team. 1 goal or less here went to the home team. So if you kind of stuck to the home teams where it's a goal or less, just picking another one here, that was home team. Looking at these two, that was away team, and this was home team. But the home team have been winning these close games a lot more frequently than the away teams. Um, yeah, so don't know if that will continue. Variance is very hard to understand sometimes. These are pretty much 50-50 games, under 1 goal. One mistake can turn a game, one refereeing decision. Are the refereeing decisions helping the home teams? Maybe. Is it just a short-term trend that's about to turn around and it becomes all away teams? Who knows? But it is something that I have seen happening a fair bit this season. So just keep it in mind with tipping comps if you think that may help. So let's have a quick look here at how we did on the betting last week before we jump into this week. So just on tipping, we're now up to 59 games. I'm counting the draw as a half, so we're at 44 and a half. Out of 59 games. It's a push. In tipping comps, it was regarded as a win. If you had backed North Melbourne, you would have come out in front. If you'd backed Brisbane, you would have lost based on dead heat rules on Betfair. If we look at taking the line, we only got 3 last week. That gave us now 31 out of the 59 games which have been put up. So getting back to that 50-50, which is kind of what you'd expect if we didn't have an edge. We're just over that and got that few percentage edge, which is where you would expect us to be on so few games. Now, having a look at the bets that we suggested you could take last week, we had anything that's above 0 in this column K. So we won on the first game, which was Carlton. We did lose on the Western Bulldogs. We also lost on Geelong, but we did win on Richmond. Which all the games this week were very close, really good games to watch. So let's jump into this week, and then we'll have a bit of a look at those tips. So in the Gold Coast versus Hawthorn game, I've got Hawthorn just winning this. Now again, I did just say the home teams seem to be winning these games where it's a goal or less. So take it with care, but the odds are out at $2.46. We are backing the underdog here. The market has Gold Coast at basically a 7.5 head point, 7.5 line, which is interesting. I do think Hawthorn can win this. It's going to come down to mistakes again or umpiring decisions. Should be a close game. Will be very interesting to see how Gold Coast perform against a good team in Hawthorn. Looking at it, Hawthorn, Gold Coast played same day. They look like they were Saturday games. Gold Coast did win. Hawthorn did win. So they're both coming off a couple of wins. Gold Coast did have a pretty hard game there against Western Bulldogs. But being at home 2 weeks in a row, that has to be a bit of an advantage as well. Sydney versus Carlton. I've gone Sydney with a 59% edge, predicted margin of 6. You can get $1.84 on that. The line is 4.5, which means we would be backing Sydney in that case. Collingwood versus Adelaide. I've taken Collingwood at a 66% chance of winning, which still means they're only winning 2 out of 3 games. Predicted margin is 15. Their odds are $1.55. The line is 12.5. So again, we take Collingwood to cover that line. Port Adelaide versus Geelong. I've got Geelong 58%, but only an 8-point predicted margin, $1.72 in the odds. Port Adelaide has a 6.5 head point start, so we're taking Geelong to cover that 6.5. GWS versus Fremantle. I've got GWS 68% chance of winning, close to that 3 goals, but not quite at that 3 goals at 17. $1.43. The market though does have it at over 3 goals, so in that case we'd be taking Fremantle there, thinking that GWS can't cover the 3 goals. Bulldogs versus Essendon. We've got the Western Bulldogs at 77%. One of the easier games to tip here by the looks of it. Got a 25-point margin, $1.34 in the odds, right on the handicap of 24.5. So we take Western Bulldogs there to beat the margin by a 0.5 point. Richmond versus North Melbourne. Interesting game, this one. 2 of the not so good teams at the moment. I did take Richmond last week and they got over West Coast. Maybe that'll give Richmond the boost they need, but North Melbourne performed really well against Brisbane as well, but did it take too much out of them? Will be an interesting game. I've got North Melbourne based on how they performed against Brisbane. Maybe they can take some learnings out of that and apply it to this game. I've got them at 54% and only that 1 goal, predicted margin of 6. Interestingly, their odds are $1.64, which is pretty low. It does have Richmond getting a start of 9.5, so we'll take Richmond on the line. Brisbane versus Melbourne. Brisbane has to bounce back after that draw last week, being at home. They're an 83% chance of winning. 32-point margin is predicted, $1.21, right on the line. The handicap's minus 31.5. We'll take Brisbane to cover that by 0.5 point. And West Coast versus St Kilda. We'll take St Kilda to get the win here at 71%. Predicted margin is 21. Odds are $1.43. They should cover here, St Kilda, by a couple of points, as the line's only 19.5. Now, looking at what the bets would be, if you didn't see them earlier as I scrolled across, if it's a non-zero here, it means it's a bet on the predicted winner. So we can get Hawthorn at $2.46. I've got them at 51%, so basically fair odds would be $1.96. We're getting some good value there. Also getting some good value there in Sydney at $1.84 when my predicted odds are $1.69. We've got Collingwood only just there with a 3-cent edge over the predicted chance of $1.52, so we can get $1.55. Not taking Geelong or GWS, there just is no value there. They're actually right on, like $1.72, $1.72, and there's a 4-cent difference there. Western Bulldogs, we can get $1.34 versus $1.30 that I predicted, so we're getting a 4-cent edge there. North Melbourne, we have no bet. I predict it needs $1.85. We can only get $1.64 in the market. Looking at Brisbane, Brisbane is right on where the odds should be. We can get 1 cent over. If you can get $1.20, it's probably still worth a bet. But you don't want to be taking $1.19 or less. And St Kilda, again, it's right on. We're getting 2 cents edge there, which is pretty good. Now, if you were to take all the bets that I have put up where they have been value, you're up $6.84 on a 1 unit bet or $1 bet. Obviously, you'd be betting a bit more than $1, but just to keep it nice and easy to calculate, you're betting $100, you're up $684. Now, I did some extra calculations here over in this column and looked at games where I had predicted the margin to be more than 3 goals. So that means that the team can make a couple of mistakes and should still win it by a goal. So if it was 16, it wasn't a selection, but if it was 18 or above, it became a selection. So if we'd looked at that and taken the bets, and I just go through this, you can see here, that's the first loss that we've taken there, and we're still up $1.95. Continuing through that, it's only had 1 loss at this point, and it's up $3.90. So I'm just going to put $3.90 in there so we can follow this going forward. If you were to take these bets, it would essentially be, let's see what we would have. You've got 3 bets this round, and if they all come off, you've got to make 98 cents, so 1 unit profit. So the 3 bets are Western Bulldogs to win, Brisbane to win, and St Kilda to win. Now, I've only lost 1 out of how many tips it was. How many rounds have we been looking? Since round 3, only 1 of these games has lost. So 6 rounds I think we've tipped, up $3.90. You could essentially parlay these around. You would have only lost one round. You would have made a little bit more than the $3.90, but it's an interesting thing to look at using the predicted margin. Will be interesting to see how it goes this week. But if you are interested in following that one, definitely the selections are Western Bulldogs, Brisbane, and St Kilda. Bulldogs there was just throwing me for a second. So you've got 2 ways of betting there. You essentially have got the standard way where we are betting to the value, and you've got the extra. Now, had you taken both, or only taken when it was shown in both, I haven't done that. Maybe something for me to do on the next video, but my guess is you would have done fairly well. So if you're looking for those that meet both the criteria, we have 3 this round. Again, it's all of those 3 games. So that will be interesting. Actually, I've got to fix that one up. It is not $3.90. That was a draw. So that would have actually been, if you were betting on Betfair, you would have lost 42 cents. Using dead heat rules, you halve the stake. Half the stake is a loss, and half the stake is a win. So you would have won essentially. Sorry, we got odds of $1.20. So you would have won 10 cents. So it would be negative 40 cents. Oh, sorry. No, I was right. These are the odds that we get. $1.16. This is my predicted odds. So it was 0.42. Okay, I've rambled on long enough. There's the selections for this round. I did lose the top position in the tipping comp, the VIP tipping comp, momentarily through the round when I took a different opinion to one of the guy that was coming second. Luckily for me, the very next game, we had a differing opinion again and it went the other way. So I am still at the end of the round sitting in top position on the tipping comp. So hopefully these tips do help you with your tipping comps, help you with your bets. And let's see if we can make some money on the AFL this week. If you disagree with any of the selections, maybe the Hawthorn game, given it is the only one there that is not a favourite, let me know. Do you agree with it? Do you think Hawthorn is the better team here? Am I missing something? Should we be looking to default to those home teams when it's within one goal? Let me know what you think. If you're not subscribed, do subscribe. And let's get some wins this week. Thanks for watching, and do like the video, subscribe, and comment. Thanks, everyone.